You guys, I sat in this very chair this morning and said on camera that I absolutely cannot buy any more books this week. And here we are again. So, I've decided to go all in for witches and witchy books in April. Let me share what I got with you. This first book is a book that I already have. I have a version of. I have a version that my mother purchased for me back in the, I guess, mid-90s, mid to late 90s. And before she gave it to me as a gift, she read it and underlined through it. So that is precious to me. But I could not resist this 25th anniversary edition of Practical Magic. I've read this before, obviously. And I intend this month to do a rewrite, maybe after my current, a reread, maybe after my current book. And I absolutely love this cover, too. So if you haven't read this, this is a book that's near and dear to my heart. For more than 200 years, the Owens women have been blamed for everything that has gone wrong in their Massachusetts town. Jillian and Sally have endured that fate as well. As children, the sisters were forever outsiders, taunted, talked about, pointed at. Their elderly aunts almost seemed to encourage the whispers of witchery with their musty house and their exotic concoctions and their crowd of black cats. But all Jillian and Sally wanted was to escape. One will do so by marrying, the other by running away, but the bonds they share will bring them back, almost as if by magic. Now, that said, that was one of my favorite books, but I did not realize that Alice Hoffman has written 3 other books about the same family, the Owens family. And I think I'm going to read them in the order that they were written, but I have to go look that up. Practical Magic was the first, but they're chronologically set in different times. The next book I picked up that I was not aware of is The Rules of Magic by Alice Hoffman. This one, for the Owens family, love is a curse that began in the 1600s when Maria Owens was accused of witchery for loving the wrong man. Hundreds of years later, in the 1960s, New York City, at the cusp of an ever-changing world, Susanna Owens knows that her 3 children are dangerously unique. Difficult Franny, with skin as pale as milk and blood-red hair, shy and beautiful Jet, who can read other people's thoughts, and charismatic Vincent, who began looking for trouble on the day he could walk. From the start, Susanna sets down rules for her children. No walking in the moonlight, no red shoes, no wearing black, no cats, no crows, no candles, no books about magic. And most importantly, never, ever fall in love. But the Owens children never adhere to rules, desperate to uncover who they really are. So, this is, I guess, about at least one of Jillian and Sally's parents, so I will probably read that second. I want to read this first because it will familiarize me with the family again, and so I can, figure it out. Now, I don't know if this was where this fell in the writing order. I looked it up earlier and I've already forgotten. Magic Lessons by Alice Hoffman. And this one is about Maria Owens. So it's kind of like a prequel. Where does the story of the Owens bloodline begin? With Maria Owens in the 1600s, when she's abandoned in a snowy field in rural England as a baby. Underneath the care of Hannah Owens, Maria learns about the nameless art. Hannah recognizes that Maria has a gift, and she teaches the girl all she knows. It's here that she learns her first important lesson. Always love someone who will love you back. When Maria is betrayed by the man who once declared his love for her, she follows him to Salem, Massachusetts. Here, she invokes the curse that will haunt her family, and it is here she learns the rules of magic and the lessons she will carry with her for the rest of her life. Love is the only thing that matters. So, the 4th book is called, I think it's called The Book of Magic, and it's about maybe Jillian and Sally's either children or something. I'm not sure. I ordered it, so it'll arrive sometime within the next week or two. Anywho, I found some the rules of magic while watching a YouTube video, and I went down a whole rabbit hole of what else Alice Hoffman had written in that series. But I also found 4 other books that weren't really on my radar. The next one was The Witches of Moonshyne Manor by Bianca Marais. I guess that's how you pronounce it. A blurb claims it to be the new practical magic for a generation of women who value sisterhood, friendship, and fierce, fabulous feminism above all else. We'll see if it's the new practical magic. But in this one, 5 octogenarian witches gather as an angry mob threatens to demolish Moonshyne Manor. All eyes turn to the witch in charge, Queenie, who confesses they've fallen far behind on their mortgage payments. Still, there's hope since the imminent return of Ruby, one of the sisterhood who's been gone for 33 years, will surely be our salvation. But the mob is only the start of their troubles. One man is hell-bent on avenging his family for the theft of a legacy he claims was rightfully his. In an act of desperation, Queenie makes a bargain with an evil far more powerful than anything they've ever faced. Then, things take a turn for the worse when Ruby's homecoming reveals a seemingly insurmountable obstacle instead of the solution to all their problems. The witches are determined to save their home and themselves, but their aging powers are no match for increasingly malicious threats. Thankfully, they get a bit of help from Persephone, a feisty TikToker eager to smash the patriarchy. As the deadline to save the manor approaches, fractures among the sisterhood are revealed, and long-held secrets are exposed, culminating in a fiery confrontation with their enemies. I'm excited to read that. I will let you know what I think about it. Next up, an author I really like, although I've only read one other book from them, and that is Sarah Gailey. And the other book that I read that I really liked was Just Like Home. Fabulous. Loved it. So I picked up Magic for Liars. And this one doesn't have much of a description. It says, Ivy Gamble was born without magic and never wanted it. Ivy Gamble has an almost sustainable career as a private investigator, an empty apartment, and a slight drinking problem. Ivy Gamble doesn't in any way wish she was like Tabitha, her estranged, magically gifted sister. Ivy Gamble is a liar. I love Sarah Gailey's Just Like Home. I hope that I love this just as much. Look forward to it. Again, all things witches, at least until I burn myself out in April. This next book, I will probably mess up the pronunciation, is not one I've heard of, but I got really good reviews. It is called The Inheritance of Orquidea Divina by Zoraida Cordova. Never heard of this author either. The Montoyas are used to a life without explanations, but when their matriarch, Orquidea Divina, invites them to her funeral, they hope to learn the secrets that she has held onto so tightly their whole lives. Instead, Orquidea is transformed, leaving them with more questions than answers. 7 years later, her gifts have manifested in different ways for Marais, Ray, and Rhiannon, granting them unexpected blessings. But soon, a hidden figure begins to tear through their family tree, seeking to destroy Orquidea's line. Determined to save their family and uncover the truth behind their inheritance, they travel to Ecuador, to the place where Orquidea buried her secrets and broken promises and never looked back. One of the reasons that I picked this book up is that the reviewers were talking about they hated that to finish it because they didn't want to leave that family. So I'm really excited for this. One of my favorite things about romance and about really any fiction is being able to read a sense of family in a set of stories. And I hope this lives up to the hype. Finally, I've got The Witch Haven by Sasha Peyton Smith. This is a YA novel. In 1911 New York City, 17-year-old Frances Hollowell spends her days as a seamstress, mourning the mysterious death of her brother months prior. Everything changed when she's attacked and Amanda ends up dead at her feet, her scissors in his neck, and she can't explain how they got there. Before she could be condemned as a murderess, 2 cape-wearing nurses arrive to inform her she's deathly ill and order to report to Haxhaven Sanitarium. But she finds that Haxhaven isn't a sanitarium at all. It's a school for witches. Within the glittering walls, Frances finds the sisterhood she craves, but the headmistress warns Frances that magic is dangerous. Frances has no interest in the small, safe magic of her school, and is instead enchanted by Finn, a boy with magic himself who appears in her dreams and tells her he can teach her all she's been craving to learn. Lessons that may bring her closer to discovering what truly happened to her brother. But Frances's newfound power attracts the attention of the leader of an ancient order who yearns for magical control of Manhattan, and who will stop at nothing to have Frances by his side. Frances must ultimately choose what matters more, justice for her murdered brother and her growing feelings for Finn, or the safety of her city and fellow witches. What price would she pay for power? And what if the truth is more terrible than she ever imagined? So, that was my witchy book haul today. And over the next couple of videos, I also today did a witchy book haul from my downstairs TBR carts. So over the next couple of videos, I will be talking to you about some other witchy reads that are potentials for April. Happy reading! It's gotta be spooky season soon, right?